Hey, everybody, welcome to Shed I Love with Jason Stewart, and I'm really excited about my next guest. This is a guy that I met around 6 years ago, 8 years ago. There goes the beeping next door. Okay, so you probably don't hear it. We've been trying to stop the beeping next door. I live in the middle of a work zone.
Yeah, work zone. Yeah.
Well,
I had to put on a hard hat when I walked in.
yes, it was very, very difficult. I wear boots every day just to walk through all the debris.
Yeah, it matches the shirt.
My guest today is Paul Elia, and I met Paul Elia, I think, 6 years ago.
Yeah.
You were 24.
24.
And you had just gotten here from Detroit.
Yeah, flights were cheap.
And Paul is an actor and a comedian. And basically, I met him at a show. Whose show was Sam Pancakes?
Pancake, yeah.
One-man
show. Such a fun show.
Really, really funny guy. And it was at the Mexican restaurant
Casa del Campo
in the basement where they have the shows.
Yeah.
Very New York.
Uh-huh.
And I remember thinking, this is the cutest guy. And he came over, and you were very flirtatious. Am I right?
Yeah,
or wrong?
was. Yeah.
And I thought, God, why is this young guy coming on to me?
Yeah.
What's this about?
I thought you were an agent, so
Don't be funny. Tell the truth. No, so we started to talk and we hit it off. I believe that I don't know who directed that show. I don't remember.
Jim Fall did, I think.
Did Jim Fall direct it?
I think Jim did, yeah. Because Jim's the one that invited me.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And then I saw you there because I was with Jim.
Yes, and I knew Jim from Outfest and stuff, and Jim has directed a lot of TV movies.
Yeah, I was into this gay man Warpole where I was just meeting all the gays in Hollywood.
It was the power gays.
Yeah, all the power gays. Yeah, all the other gays that were coming up in the game. I was I'm avoiding them. Yeah,
it's the funny power gays though, because a lot of comedy people were there. I think Drew Droege was there, and maybe even Patrick Bristow. I mean, the whole group.
Yeah, Tara Carson was there.
Yeah. And we were sitting there, and I thought, okay. And then you asked me for my card.
Yeah.
And I gave you my card, and that was it. I never even thought about it, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And then you called me on the phone, and you said, hey, I'd love to go out with you to talk. And I thought you were asking me out on a date.
Yeah.
Which brings us to, it was totally not true, because Paul is a heterosexual man. I am a gay man.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a complete comedy of errors.
Yeah.
And I took him to this restaurant and paid.
It was expensive as hell.
Yeah, too much. You were going to say as fuck. Cause
yeah. I was going to say as fuck. Well, the title of the show is Shit I Love. So I'm why can't I?
They say fuck.
We're already there.
Exactly. And because I wanted to be nice, and was it you who picked the place, or was it me?
I picked the place.
Or you didn't know how expensive it was because you apologized so profusely for the next year almost to me.
Yeah,
it was totally cool.
Yeah, the bill, I remember I kind of knew it was expensive just based on the facade. It had 2 patios.
Right, it did.
2 patios and a 5-page entree menu.
Yeah. So, we were there, and then what happened from that situation, we developed a web series together called Mentor.
Yeah.
Which is now on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
And soon to be on Deco. It was on Reverie, and it was also on Out TV, which was owned by Out TV and Wolf. And we were nominated for awards and all sorts of things, and it became what happened is became a great friendship between us.
Yeah, and you taught me a lot about stand-up comedy. And I don't know how long my comedy enthusiasm would be today if it wasn't for those beginning moments when we first met, like watching you do stand-up and you take me out.
Really? Why?
Yeah, man. Comedy is one of those things where you kind of jump in the first 3 months, and then you're just either you get scared shitless and you leave, and you never give it a chance, or you stick through the shit. And I think when we met, that was right in the beginning of those moments. So I was very intimidated, didn't know what I was doing. And I would see you, and then you would take me to shows, and I'd watch shows, and that kind of motivated me to continue to do stand-up.
Let me just be totally clear. You asked to come to everything. So
yeah,
it was much more than me. I mean, you much more than me. It was a willingness to learn. And that's really the basis of this whole interview, I think, is you have this tremendous amount of willingness, and you've had a really exciting career for somebody who's been here for such a short time. I mean, people come here, and it's, you came here you were in college to be a lawyer. Am I correct?
Yeah.
You were going to school to be a lawyer, and then you dropped out because you had heard in town that the TV show Detroit 187 was coming to town, right?
Yeah.
And I never even asked you this, or maybe you didn't. I don't remember. What propelled you to try to get a job on that show?
Oh, so I joined an extras agency. I met
Why?
I met someone at a gym, and he was like, "Hey, man, I almost got a speaking line the other day on a TV show. I was this close to getting a speaking line." The guy was like, "Maybe he should say something," and I was getting ready, and then they said, "Never mind." And I was like, "Yo, what if that happens to me? What if they say, 'Hey, you can talk on the show in Detroit?'"
Uh huh.
So
And you have no connection to show business.
no connection to show business, nothing. So I joined the extras agency.
But what you were going to school to be a lawyer?
Yeah, I dropped out of college with 2 classes left to work on the show. And
So that I still don't get that completely. So which completely made your mother's head explode, I'm sure.
well, now when I look back at it, like
Sort of insane.
yeah, I mean, there's a part of me that wanted to go back to school, but there was another part of me that didn't want to mess up my story. Because dropping out of college and being successful, struggle
Stop.
sells. You know what I mean? Struggle sells,
Stop. Come on.
as we know. And honestly, I
No,
definitely
because you're a little.
felt like I wanted a way. There was a part of me that said like,
You wanted out.
there was a part of me that didn't like. I had a lot of enthusiasm for being a lawyer. Like I took my LSAT, I studied for it every day. I was in the library. I would sleep in the library at my college because I would study for so much. I would because in Detroit it would snow and there's no way I can drive back to where I lived. So I would literally just sleep in the college library and study.
Jeez.
And I was like so pro
But
academics.
had you done any school plays?
No, none.
You have no history.
Oh, I took a theater class. Well, when I was in college, after I joined the extras agency, I did a couple student films that were shooting in my college, and
So the bug had hit you.
the bug hit me. Yeah, and honestly, a lot of it was from watching Larry David and Entourage. Like I would watch Curb Enthusiasm and Entourage, and I'm like, man, this is so cool. The lifestyle was very intriguing to me, and just
So same as me, you thought, hey, this is a way. We saw what was in front because when I was a kid, I just wanted to be a really big star. I didn't know anything about anything, and I just thought this sounds fun. These people are funny. Their
Yeah.
lives are great, and I want to be in that house with Lucy. You know what I mean? I want to be in there with her. I want to be living on the Mary Tyler Moore Show. I want to be in that one-room apartment. I would live in her closet.
Yeah, do like an entrance like, we're out of toilet paper, and that gets a big applause break.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, don't worry, girl.
Yeah.
The same thing. Go in that little teeny kitchen in the Mary Tyler Moore
Yeah.
Show.
Or like you walk in, you're like, found the closet, and that gets like a big like, yeah.
Exactly. And I wanted to be a part of it until I learned and fell in love with the craft.
Yeah. That's what it took.
And I think you're still having your love affair. I mean, let me just run down a couple credits so people know what happened when you first got here. So, on television, you have had guest or roles, appearances on Detroit 817, Mistress, Mixology, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Lady Dynamite, Vegas, Major Crimes, and of course a recent real funny sketch on Conan. And then you've also been doing an incredible amount of independent films, and we'll talk about them as we go into this whole thing. And you just did a big movie with a lot of comedians called 2 Minutes Off of Me.
2
or
minutes
hashtag.
of fame.
Oh, it's called 2 Oh, I think it says 2 Minutes of Fame?
Yeah, there's a hashtag.
Oh, I forgot to write the fame word.
Yeah,
Okay, it was all squished together. I don't know how anybody's going to read that title.
Yeah, I don't know how to read hashtags sometimes because the letters are so close together. Like I wish they.
Oh,
would
you're
just
right. It
separate
is
them.
too much of course you're. And you play, of course, a very funny Uber driver.
Yeah,
which
that's my ethnic appearance.
Which reminds me of the movie Beverly Hills Cop when Damon Wayans played the gay guy in it. He had this one really funny scene.
So funny, yeah.
And it just sort of propelled him into doing so many other things. And Jay Farrell is starring in it with Keke Palmer and Cat Williams and so many.
Deion Cole.
And Helen Hong.
And Helen Hong, yeah.
Who is a dear friend. And I think that, that to me is a feather in your cap that you got cast in this film with all these really great comedians where you were able to improvise and do all the things that you've learned, in using yourself. I mean, this is amazing. And before we get into all the other stuff, doing all these shows, I remember the first time when you did Vegas and you were so nervous and you were so obsessed with how it was going to go and everything. And then you realized that you were not the star of the show.
And
the star of the scene. You remember that?
Yeah, yeah.
And you realize, and when we saw it, how they cut the reaction, and you go, man. And I think you really learned about camera stuff from being cut, in the sense where it wasn't about you. If you were guesting on a show, you learned in the first year or two. Oh my God, this isn't about me. And believe me, same thing here. It's easier on a TV show to stay in than it is in a movie. In a movie, I just did a movie recently where they cut a whole section out of the film. The whole section I was in, it was like a third of the movie was cut. They changed the whole storyline.
Yeah, right. In the editing room, they're like, "Wouldn't this be fun?" And then
they decided this movie to be. It's a movie called Jinn, which is really wonderful, about this Muslim young girl and her mom.
Yeah, jinns are demons.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, that's what Jinn is.
Oh, that's the girl's name, I think.
Oh wow, they named her Jinn. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how that. Oh, really?
Yeah, in Islam, yeah.
Because
jinns are evil spirits.
You're a Catholic.
Catholic Muslim, yeah.
You're not Muslim. You're a Catholic Middle Eastern Chaldean.
Yeah.
And they cut out that section of the film with the mom, so the mom's part is smaller. I guess the story worked better the other way with a kid. Anyway, so that was an incredible learning experience. It was fun. It was also. People say, what is the web series Mentor about? And I always say it's about a guy who 6 years ago, his father died, and he's trying to figure out who he was and what happened. My whole life just sort of, I felt like everything who I was sort of changed. And my family, when my dad died, and I remember you came over, you said, hey, would you mentor me? And basically you started mentoring me because you reinvigorated me. It's funny because I'm getting emotional. There's going to be silence on an audio podcast. You invigorated me because I felt lost, I felt lost again. And I'm watching Gary Shandling's documentary now, it's about him being the Judd Apatow did. And I'm watching how how he went for the things that he went through. And if you have a long career, that's what happens, is you have these moments of going for something and then you get it. And then it has to shift and change, because it's not like just, a TV movie and one thing happens and then that's it, you're done. And that's what I think you're seeing now, is that you keep evolving and developing and changing and growing and going to the next place.
Yeah. Yeah. And you did, and there was a point in time where I didn't have any food. And I know I bring this up a lot. And you would take me out to eat, and I didn't have any money because I kept getting fired from every single job, because I would finally get a job and then I would get an audition, and then I would tell the boss, like, hey, I have this audition, so I gotta go. And they're like, great, just don't come back. And then when you don't get the part, and then you come back, now you don't have a job,
Already food.
Yeah, already food. Yeah, exactly. And Jason, we've had a very special history together, you and myself. So it is very poetic that we're sitting here in this room where we spend so much time together.
And we're in my office, yeah.
So many tears together and so many
laughs,
hugs and laughs and good things. And we're talking about this, talking about what has happened over the years. So this is it's a very poetic moment right now that we're having. Very beautiful, man.
Well, it's, to me, in my program, my life, for people at home listening, it's about giving back. It's about getting to a certain age and being able to depart. Is that the word? Depart, information to people. And
depart. Depart means like to exit.
No, to exit. It's not to depart. What's the word? To
give.
To give. I was trying to use a bigger word.
Yeah, you're trying to show off your vocab.
Exactly. Yeah. And completely took a term and went, ah! It's about giving information to people, and you have that yearning to do that because you've learned so much.
Yeah. Well, once you stop learning, you stop living.
I'm
a firm believer in that. I feel like learning is oxygen for the brain, and for the heart, and for the soul. So you can learn a lot of things if you pay attention. Most people, they don't pay attention. So there's all these lessons, all these beautiful things in front of them. But honestly, there's a lot, like people say social media, people say our own quarrels, depression, anxiety, what's going on in politics. Like there's a lot of things that are distracting us from this food our soul needs, which is learning and and experiences.
And you're like a sponge, and I always say, and I think sometimes you take this as an insult, but I always say that you're very mathematical. Because you went to college and you're very adept. Whatever your mom taught you and your dad taught you in your house or your brothers, there was something that you picked up that was very mathematical in nature in terms of the way one equals two.
It's business, my mom owned a liquor store for almost 20 years, and it was very much like, okay, I need this product for this, and this guy is this way. So it's a lot of...
Right, this guy, right, you told me in the liquor store they would sell single cigarettes.
Yeah.
So, which seems crazy to me.
Yeah.
But what a great idea to make extra money.
Yeah, for
because
sure.
People need the cigarettes and, da-da. So it's a simple thing yet they can't afford the pack, but yet I want to still... So she was able, all these things you sort of learned, even though I'm really against smoking, and you have quit.
I quit. For over a year, I quit smoking cigarettes.
And it was really hard for you.
That was one of the biggest triumphs.
Because everybody in your family smokes, right?
Yeah.
So every time you would go there, it's like going back to live in an ashtray.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Or a smoke club. Or
yeah. Our mailbox is a pack of Marlboros.
Exactly, yes. And that was sort of tremendous. But I was just saying the way you learn things, it really taught me because I learned things, I think, all wrong. I learned things by putting Band-Aids on stuff. I moved away, you walked towards it. So everything about us was sort of so opposite, but yet at the same time, we both were doing the same thing and our goals were the same. And we kept, I would move away from it and then walk around it and go in. You would just walk through the front door.
Yeah, it's different strategies, and both strategies lead to the same. This is a prime example.
No, but I got to say, I think yours are better. I do believe it. I believe that I'm learning at this late age that because of who I am and what I've been through, that I don't have to walk around and go through the sliding door. I don't have to go through the back door.
Yeah.
And you never go through the back. You just walk right in. You've learned to walk a little slower in. There doesn't have to be a song and dance. You can walk in and look around first. You can James Bond it,
yeah.
If you want. But so you really taught me that, and it took me a long time to learn it and become comfortable with it, and I am becoming comfortable with it.
Yeah. And also, one of the biggest, learning lessons is just the ability to just accept who I am for what I am and just be completely free of judgment from others. It just made life so much more easier. It made going to parties so much more easier. It made networking and meeting people so much easier. Just being you and not worried about any type of outcome. And honestly, there are people that backdoor this situation. There's a lot of people that do that, but...
And it does work.
And it does work, and it's also a cool story. But there's also this other story where you're waiting in line, and you're patient, and you keep doing work until someone says, okay, now you come in. That's also,
Let's talk about that. So you met this guy, Dan Ringy.
Yeah,
who was the DP and one of the producers of Mentor.
Yeah.
He was right there with us through the whole thing. If it wasn't for him, I would have never been able to do it because he's a wonderful producer and director in his own right.
Yeah.
And certainly his influence and his, abilities was quite a help. So how did you meet Dan?
I met Dan, and I was in Northern California, yeah, right on the border of Oregon. I was gonna say Oregon, and then I was like, "Wow,
Oregon."
Yeah, I'm making up words. What am I, Jason Stewart? So we're in Northern California, and Dan was an assistant director. Our assistant director had
what was the film called?
It was called Love in the Time of Monsters, and I played a monster in a monkey mask. So I was wearing a monkey mask, and I was infected with
folks
the disease.
listening who want to be actors, look at what he was willing to do to get onto a set to do that. And we skipped past it, but on Detroit 187, he was a stand-in for a year, and also got a role on the show as an FBI agent or something.
Agent Harkins, there's a tunnel in the basement.
That's your line.
I was thinking of quoting that and just putting Paul Elia, just framing it.
That's your first line, right? My first line was, "Give me back my purse." Yes.
Man, Jason, you talk about that on stage. You have to.
Yeah.
That is
Give me back my purse. Yeah.
Because it's
the lost emperor, not the last.
Because if you think about the subtext, someone took your purse from you, and now you want it back.
Yeah. I told the story before. It's
so funny.
Yeah.
The name of your next special should be called Jason Stewart, Give Me Back My Purse.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm already thinking of like graphics and like that's such a cool title for like a for a one man show or something.
Anyway, so you worked on that show
Yeah.
for a year, and that's how you got your SAG card, your SAG-AFTRA card.
I got my SAG card through another reason, but that was one of the biggest. Like I learned everything about being on a set. Like I knew what a DP did, I knew what a gaffer did. It was literally God gave me that opportunity and prepped me so nicely to come here.
And then you also got your first speaking line in the show on there.
Yeah.
And then you came here and you got this movie called, again, what is it called?
Which one?
With the monkey mask?
Oh, Love in the Time of Monsters.
Love in the Time of Monsters.
Yeah, yeah.
And did you ever take off your monster outfit?
There was one scene where I didn't have the monkey mask, where I wasn't infected with the disease. And then when I fell into the swamp had toxins in it that infected me and made me a monster. I will say this. I remember I was with a management company at the time that was probably way too big for my level at the time. And I was talking to my manager, and he was like, "Hey, Paul, I'm in my office with Goldie Hawn. What do you want?" And I was like, "Hey, man, I got this movie. They want me to wear a monkey mask, and I just kind of feel like it's, And he goes, "Listen, it's great. Do it. Gotta go." So did the movie, and
it shows because sometimes something brings you to something else. And you and Dan,
yeah.
found this script called Dirty.
Yeah, and then we produced.
And it's a cop drama.
Yeah, cop drama.
And before that, when you were in Detroit, you did this film called Corner Store.
Corner Store, yeah.
With Roger
Smith.
Ganvier.
Ganvier, yeah.
I would call him, maybe it's from you I got it, because I called him Roger.
He told me it was Rohair at one time. I think Roger just makes up.
He just fucks with you. Yeah.
He just makes up stuff.
I just realized that.
Yeah. He just messes with you.
Oh, man.
Yeah, he's messing with you.
All right, well, that's just...
Rohair Ganvier Smythe. I'm like, Roger.
So Roger Guinevere Smith, or Roger Ganvier Smith.
Whoever he is.
Roger Smith. And
Detective Berg.
Yeah. And you got him for the film, which was a name.
Yeah.
And you got several other named people. You got Chaz Bono in his first role as a man in a film. You got
Alexander Paul.
Well, I got you.
Yeah. Jason Stewart.
You got me.
Tony Dennison.
It's funny because we were all sort of connected in some way because I worked with Tony Dennison on the Closer.
Yeah.
And then, you eventually work with him on Major Crimes.
Isn't it like that circle of like energies?
I believe that.
Yeah, that's what. And I feel like when we submit to that and appreciate that and understand that, that's when things evolve in our lives more and more. When we fight against that, then it's like, okay, I guess you don't want this.
Stop going to the place that doesn't want to go to the place that does.
Oh man, that's good.
That's what I've learned. Is that there's just some people, no matter what you do, they don't see you.
And it's like your universe aren't parallel yet, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. Like I went in for this audition, and it was for a George Clooney TV show, and I was never been more prepared for an audition. I was very prepared.
Let me just explain to people. This is not a guy he is always so prepared. He makes me feel like I have just started, I started 20 minutes ago. So it doesn't matter, what goes on. And he won't even ask for me to coach him anymore. He never comes by to run lines.
I live in Echo Park now, So, you know that LA
He used to come he used to come be here a couple days a week, and he'd walk into my house and go.
Yeah, I remember. I still have a key.
Do you?
Yeah, I still have a key. I watch you sleep sometimes, but definitely.
Okay. All right.
But I won't.
So what happened to George Clooney?
Learning lesson is that
George Clooney's TV show.
The TV show, for Hulu, and sometimes it's not parallel. It's like my rendition and what the producers wanted were just different things, and I was okay with it.
Were you able to change with direction, or did they not tell you?
I completely changed with direction. Like they said, try it like this, which was a complete different interpretation.
So for people listening, other actors, that's the most important thing, is to be able to drop everything you plan and change. And sometimes it's hard to do.
Well, it's also
because you have it so in your mind.
That's almost the beauty of it. The beauty is almost to like what Alexandra did for Mentor. Alexandra won an award for Best Actress.
The Best Supporting Actress in a Comedy.
And then she took that award and donated it and recycled it or whatever she did.
Yes.
And they made some LaCroix out of it.
Yes.
So the thing about that story, why I bring that up, is that the fact that you'll do work and you're able to part with it, that's the real beauty of work.
I'm still upset about that. I can't believe you brought that
up.
But what's really great about what you've done is you've created this whole thing. You created this movie from beginning to end. I think you were really the driving force.
I had a lot of help.
Yeah, but you were the driving force. And it's like if you don't get in the driver's seat in something, I know you're not going to.
I was the keys. There were a lot of people that were other parts. Jason, honestly, man, everything starts with enthusiasm and an idea.
Right.
And you have Dan, you have you have literally we shot in your house.
Oh, just
right?
Just to let people know, a scene that I wasn't in.
Yeah, yeah.
And I coached the woman who was here. It was, agent's, your commercial agent's mom.
Yeah, ex-commercial agent.
Ex-commercial agent's mom.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll have to talk about that. Mom. And she was nervous. She hadn't acted in a while, and I coached her in my bedroom, and we did it in the house.
Yeah.
So it was like a We Are Family kind of a moment.
So look at something like that, Jason. That was the help of you. Like, Dan was able to get all the equipment for free. The DP.
From Corin. Who was later
Corin still didn't get paid from the movie.
Really?
Corin did the movie on deferred payment, and he would normally charge $20,000 for his equipment and his services. He did it for free.
He did the same.
Like that.
We should tell that he's a brilliant guy, and he did a wonderful job on Like Father.
Corin is a. He was, and the reason why I mentioned Corin and the U's and my ex-commercial agent and the Dans and the Bens is because all of us together.
And what's the wonderful girl that played, not your girlfriend, the other part? She was on Entourage, very pretty. Oh, God, it was my mind. I'll remember it in a minute. Go ahead.
But yeah.
But anyway, all these people.
Yeah.
All these people coming together to create this idea.
Yeah, and that's the same thing what happened with Mentor. Everyone came together with this idea. I mean,
Kristen Minter.
Kristen, yes.
Love her.
Yeah, she's awesome. She's great. She's so funny.
And just wonderful. And put in roles that one wouldn't always play. She played She played the head of police department. Alexander, I think at that point, had never played a lawyer. Alexander Paul. I played the bar manager. I've always played the manager of things, but I played someone very straight, very angry, very much different than we all got out. Chaz played a homeless hoarder.
Do you remember your first line?
No.
Christopher. Yes. You're short again. Oh yeah. I just thought of how many times do I have to tell you? I don't give a fuck about your excuses. Just get it right. Where the fuck do you think you're going?
I got Rain Man here.
I'm just thinking. Who told you to think?
How do you remember all this?
I just remember everything.
God, I wish I were you. I wish I were you when I grow up.
No, man.
Oh,
you don't want to be Middle Eastern, bro.
Oh, I do. Anything,
hairy chest.
Anything is better than being a gay guy. I shouldn't say, growing up being a gay guy.
Being gay is the new black.
Now it is. But growing up, in the 80s being gay, oh God, I just envy you guys, having so much opportunity to grow and do things. I always felt like I was growing under a welcome mat.
It's just you and the roly-polies.
Exactly.
I feel like, do you think there's going to be a time where they're going to say only Latinos can play Latinos and only Middle Easterns can play Middle Easterns and only white people can play white people?
What's happening is everybody's biracial now. So I think there's going to be a time when we're all going to be sort of beige people. And people say, well, that's going to take away our diversity. And I think, God, it seems like all...
Then we're back in square one. Everyone's the same.
Well, I think we are all the same. I mean, I really do. I think what all people need is love, kindness, and an opportunity. Opportunity is something that I think is being able to compete in the same ways. And that's what I meant by saying it's the worst time growing up in the 80s, being gay, being an actor was the worst. Because the opportunities. And now even as an older guy, I feel like, there are people that had series and had done leads in movies. Even you right now. You've done several leads in movies. Mm-hmm. I've only done one lead in a movie. That was the movie I made. So everything I've done is the supporting roles. And yes, I've worked more than you. I know you're going to say that. I know how you think.
What? That you work more than me?
That I've had more jobs because I'm older.
Oh yeah, right. I mean, I'm creeping.
Yes, you are. You're creeping up.
Baby, yeah.
But you've started movies. I've never done that. So you have an experience that I never had. Never had because there wasn't that opportunity for me at that time.
Well, one thing
But I'm happy with my spot. Believe me,
definitely like
being a supporting actor. That's where I want to be.
Well, you're for the record, obviously, you're very very talented, and the thing is that there's a lot of people.
This is the butter up moment.
Yeah, exactly. I'm actually giving you a hand job the whole time. I think we should let everyone
he's
know.
straight, which is really uncomfortable for me.
Yeah, but
I don't know if I'm being molested or. Me too.
I was just waiting for you to be like, okay, time's up. And so I realized that a lot of people in diversity or just in any areas, they want to be included, they want to compete, but they're just not ready. Like people are less and less putting time into the craft and putting
But
more
it's
and more.
all, it's not just, let's be clear, it's not just diversity people, it's everybody.
That's what I'm saying, everybody. Like a lot of people, they want to microwave their career and be like.
Exactly.
And it's like.
Because that's exactly, yeah, go ahead. That's
yeah, but
you hang out with a lot of these people that you've given me that you've met a lot of these people in the town that want a quick career and don't realize how much work you have to put into it to do that.
Yeah, but and it's just you can read that energy, and that's why people say that's why the term starving artist came up, because there's no reason why anyone should starve for art. Like artists, there's so many theaters. You can get I had a acting class with this guy named Bernard Hiller, who is an insane man. But he said one thing that I'll never forget. He said, next week, class was on Tuesday. He goes, next Tuesday, your assignment is to go on an audition. I don't care how you find it. I don't care what you do. You're going to go on an audition. Whether it's Craigslist, whether it's Actors Access, whether you just show up. Everyone has to come with an audition. And if you don't come with an audition, you are not allowed in class. And you must bring your sides to show and prove that you went on this audition. And I was like, I didn't have an agent at the time. This was like, I was in LA for maybe 3 weeks. This is like during when I booked Interlopers, like that play. So I had to look for an audition. I was on Craigslist. I was on Actors Access, LA Casting. And then I found an audition. I went to the audition.
Open call? Was it an open call?
No, it was an actual short film audition that I did. No, it was actually a reenactment for a documentary.
Oh, okay.
I was playing an Iraqi refugee. So I just had to look like I had a lot of despair. Right.
Which is perfect.
Which is great, you know.
You're in LA 3 weeks, it's just the same as being in Iraq.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing as being in Iraq, you know. It's same weather, you know what I mean? There's no parking.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
So, and then I was like,
a lot of scarves.
A lot of scarves, yeah.
Very Beverly Hills.
Very Beverly Hills. Very
a lot of
posh.
A lot of jewelry.
Eyeliner.
Right. Eyeliner and lipstick.
Right. By the way, we're talking about men. Let's be very clear. Scarves, eyeliner, yeah, all that. So I learned that no one should starve for art. It's so easy to get your work. You just have to go out and have the tenacity and do it, which is why people like you inspire me, because you lived your whole life by that platitude, where I'm going to find my motherfucking work.
It wasn't that I'm
going to find my spot.
But I didn't think of it that way. You know that, right? I just thought, well, no one's calling.
Yeah.
No one at all.
But that's an instinct. Like, you developed that instinct. Like,
I didn't know. I got it from my dad.
Wow, yeah. I mean, your dad came to this country, didn't know English, and you started a successful business. A lot of Jews did really successful in the garment industry.
He went into a business where he was accepted, going where the love is.
Yeah.
He started as a janitor, went to cutting ties, went to being a manager, went to being, running the factory and being part owner, and then started doing his own real estate stuff.
Yeah.
And he was just incredibly. He never told me and said, "This is what you should do." But I think I learned it by osmosis, by being around that.
That's the best way of learning. The best way of learning is when they don't tell you the exact words, you figure it out, and that epiphany.
But they spelled everything wrong, so
epiphany was spelled with an E, or an I.
Yeah, he used to spell my last name J-A-I, first name Jaison Stuard.
Jason Stuart.
Jason Stuart.
This. Yeah, man, he would have loved autocorrect.
Oh, what's you talking about? Yes, he would have been crazy. Yeah, he would have. Oh God, my dad passed 6 years ago. Everything's changed. He would have been. He would have been he would have loved all this.
I just got my dad a phone, and all he does is just watch YouTube videos of trains.
Trains?
He watched trains. Like, it's just a montage of trains going, and like that long line of trains, and then another train will come in the distance. So he's pretty much watching screensavers. So that's my dad's form of entertainment, and he's just watching it.
Your father's an ex-boxer.
My dad was an ex-bodybuilder who was a amateur boxer, and now he sits at home and smokes cigarettes and eats seeds. So he's on a Middle Eastern diet, and
Oh
Yeah.
wow! So people can, if people are wondering about Dirty, they can watch it on iTunes and a lot of the other
Yeah. And
platforms.
Paul Elia, Elia, Nice Guy is my website.
Uh-huh.
So you can go on there and you can
You have a
see.
website now?
Yeah, Paul Elia, Nice
When
Guy.
did you get it?
I got it a month ago.
Oh wow!
Squarespace.
Oh wow, good for you. Because what I always would tell you is that you say, no, man, we only do Twitter and Instagram, and Facebook, and we don't need it.
I was resistance.
Well, because I think it's a place where, because what happens is when you have a name, there's another entertainer named Paul Elia.
Mm-hmm.
That's an older guy who is a show business kind of Vegas guy, and he's Paul Elia 1, and you're Paul Elia 2. Does he pronounce it Elia or
I don't know. I want to have lunch with him one day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I just want to have lunch with him and just see what his deal is.
So I said that having a website is a calling card, so people can go there and go, oh, this is where we find all the information of what we need.
It was classic 5%ing on my part. I was just afraid to do the other 5% of the work, honestly. I was like, should I get this website? You know what? No, I shouldn't. Now I've learned to take that out. Like, you do the work 100%, not 95%.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to be showcase yourself as a player in this business, as someone who's in show business, as a creator, as a someone that wants to contribute artistically, you need to do the necessary tools. That means a website. That means
let's talk about that thing for you. So you've been incredibly proactive in social media. You've got at least 50 little shorts or videos.
I did a lot, yeah. I kind of retired slowly from.
But you've done you see it as a negative, and I don't. I see.
No, they were fun. They were great.
You've done a lot of them. Yeah. I mean, you work with everybody. Didn't you just do one with Keke Palmer or something?
No, I did. I mean, I did a lot of them with a lot of big followers. People that have like millions of followers. Like, if all the videos together, like aggregated, like. Or it's in the millions of views, which is cool.
Uh-huh.
I mean, they're just some people that I look at the content, and I'll say this openly, and I'm not embarrassed or shy to say this, but...
Well, some hit and some missed.
Yeah, I just don't want to do anything that's like... A lot of the premises are very obvious. It's like when my girlfriend is bullshitting, and it's like, you show a girl's ass, she's walking down the street, and then you show a guy like, damn, look at her ass. I'm going to go talk to her. And a lot of these videos are playing to these stereotypes, and I just don't believe in that.
Really? Look at you. You sound like me. Because you were like the Vine king around
I was. At that time, I didn't look at it from this lens.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I established myself a little more as an artist, and I understand the craft more and more, and I'm starting to understand my voice and who I am more, I look at something like that, and I'm like, yeah, I don't want to utilize my time putting a camera on a girl's ass and then getting 1 million views and just objectifying this woman for the sake of a comedy video. That's the most obvious premise that everyone's already done.
I still don't understand it. Anyway, so this is an interesting subject in a sense. So all these videos, these things that you have done that are out in the world now, part of your comedy, your history, and your growth and stuff, do you feel that, because I've heard this from a lot of people in your age group and younger, that say that it's no longer about hits, it's about engagement. Because I had someone the other day said I had really good engagement.
Yeah.
And do you believe in that, or do you believe it's about having hits?
I had a meeting with a production company, and I asked them, because they run a lot of like daytime television shows, and I asked them, you guys get 8 million views for a daytime show. Yet there's this Instagram video that has 20 million views right now. So would you say that this Instagram thing is like it's getting more views? People are looking at their phone more than they're looking at your show.
Uh-huh.
And I just brought that up, and he said something pretty profound. He goes, "There's a classic misunderstanding that people, in order for us to log one view, they have to watch it for 7 minutes. They have to watch our show for 7 minutes to be constituted as a view on
for an hour soap opera
cable. Yeah.
Oh wow.
This is daytime talk.
Oh.
And I don't know if it applies to everything, but he said, but in Instagram, if someone just scrolls through the page and the image just plays, it logs it as a view. How many people are really paying attention to that? So yeah, it has 12 million views. It's because they see a butt and they're like, oh, this is stupid. And they scroll up and they completely forget about it. Or they'll scroll up and say, oh, this isn't funny. And then they scroll up. Like,
so if they're on a show for 7 minutes, they're most likely going to watch a commercial. Huh?
Yeah. So that kind of view is a
or
unique...
see a product placement. Whereas on a thing, you wouldn't see a product.
Yeah. You see, And a lot of the jokes, don't get me wrong, a lot of Instagram videos are very funny. There are some people that are very talented and made a great career off of Instagram and Vine. And a lot of these guys are my friends. I find them hilarious. I feel like now the market is getting saturated and everyone is just stealing everyone's ideas and it's the same joke over and over again.
Well, it's like what's happened to comedy, to stand up.
That's why even we were talking before we even started the podcast, Jason, you said, I'm starting to talk about different stuff now. I'm starting to talk about more and more things. Like that's the
Well, I'm having a
mindset.
switch. I'm having a switch in stand up again.
Yeah.
I mean, the switch is age and how I'm dealing with that and who I am now, where I am with that.
Yeah, and I completely stopped talking about because I was going on stage and talking about how my parents don't approve of comedy, which is not true because I went home recently and I went to a wedding and all my parents' friends and even were going up to my parents like, "Oh my God, your son Paul! I saw him on Laugh Tracks, Conan." That was like a big thing. A lot of people. I didn't know Chaldeans watch Conan, but they were all like, we saw you on Conan, you were doing that thing, and they were like giving my mom so many accolades. And I can see my mom, she believes it, but when she sees me, she has a hard time saying, I want you to do this.
Well,
but behind closed doors, she tells all her friends, my son Paul is on TV. Look, I saved it on my phone. Look at it. My mom doesn't know. She saved it on her phone. You know what I mean? And she just learned how to use a cell phone maybe a couple months ago. So, yeah.
So that was sort of nice for you. I don't know if I told you this story, but my dad, first saw me on my first show that I ever did was in 1979. He says, I saw the show, you were good. And I said, and then he says, he calls me, he says, I watched the show next week. Same time, same channel. What, you can't keep a job? I said, Dad. He goes, what did you do?
Hilarious.
But
I mean, that's, very similar perspectives our parents have. So
very much so.
That's why all the material
I just want you to get a job, make money. That's all I want you to say. Because money will make you happy.
Exactly. That's the formula. Money plus anything equals happiness. As long as money's in the equation, you're happy, supposedly, But then it's always money plus terrible wife or relationship. Money plus, a lot of stress equals happiness. Like they don't get the formula that money doesn't need to be in that equation.
So I recently went to a screening of a film called Stillwater that you did, that you star in. Mm-hmm. It was a sort of what you did last summer kind of a film. You know what I mean? That kind of film. It was a 20-something horror film, I guess, or and there was I thought there was a lot of talk about you. And your agents actually all came out in full throttle, which is really weird.
Yeah, they all took the Uber pool.
Yeah, to the valley.
To the valley, yeah.
Which is over the hill in LA, and no one likes to do that. First, how'd you get the agents to come? And second, how do you think that changed in terms of their perception of you, seeing you carry a film that actually had a character in it that wasn't wearing a mask?
I don't think it really changed their perception of me. The reason why I say that is because my team of people have been so monumental in everything that's been happening for me. They've been providing me with those opportunities. And we were talking about diversity earlier, people giving a chance to compete. My agents and managers did that for me. They gave me a chance to compete. And I remember my manager, after watching Stillwater, I was like, so what did you think? And he was like, I mean, I'm not surprised. And that's what he said.
But what they said to me when you weren't around is I got a sense of a feeling that after seeing you in a horror film of sorts, which certainly was, let's be honest, it's not The Shape of Water. It's
not at all. It's nowhere shaped like water.
Just a fun movie by this guy.
Yeah, it's a fun movie.
Who directed it?
Nino Aldi.
Who I actually was directed to. I did a cameo in a web series. For that.
He showed it to me in his office.
Which is so bizarre.
You were playing a boxing promoter or something.
Yeah, which is so bizarre because, again, it doesn't seem like we can, completely get away from each other, even if we wanted to. And there was a certain excitement, I thought. And I think it's when Nate Parker, who directed Birth of a Nation, said something to me, which I'd heard before, but when he said it, it rang so true to me. He said, when talent meets opportunity. And that's where it's been. So it's about the next opportunity for someone to let you do what you've been preparing for.
Inshallah.
And what?
Inshallah.
Is that Chaldean?
That's Arabic for God's will.
Oh. I'd answer this. My phone is ringing now. It's Ida Rodriguez, so you should watch her episode too.
Laugh
And
Tracks.
she doesn't know it. She doesn't. Is she on Laugh Tracks too?
Yeah, she's on Laugh Tracks. Yeah.
Oh, I would love to be on Laugh Tracks. Everybody's on Laugh Tracks. And they're both on Laugh Tracks, which is a show. Tell us about that show.
Oh, it's show up True TV. If you guys want to stream it, you can go to truetv.com. Type in Paul Elia. My clip will show up. Or if you follow me on Facebook, the whole clip of the show is there. You can watch it there as well.
And what else do you have coming up?
I have 2 Minutes of Fame's coming out shortly. I have some commercials that are going to start airing soon.
Yeah.
That I did. And stand-up dates are pending, so more to come. And
it's exciting. It's an exciting time.
Exciting.
And if they want to get him, you go to Paul Elia, Elia, niceguy.com. Thank you so much for being on my show.
Yeah, Jason, I love you dearly.
And I love you.
You're a great human being.
All right, stop.
Great eyes.
Yeah.
And I'm going to stop this.
If you forget his name or forget how to spell it, just go to jasonstewart.com and I'll connect you with him. Stuart. Thank you all very much, and we'll talk to you next time. Take care.